Do the intro, and then we're going to start the show.
Yeah.
I'm new to this one.
And welcome back to Geek Out of Say. It's Friday and we're having fun. We have a guest here, Nick.
Hi.
The crowd goes wild.
From the Nerd Blog Collective. It's a new blog that's been at, 2 months now?
Yeah, just about. We started in June.
Very nice. And what kind of nerd collective do you have?
What collective nerdy stuff do you blog about?
We're talking about games, RPGs, tabletops, pretty much anything that's not digital, honestly. We don't talk about video games very much, but, I mean, pretty much anything. We really love talking about RPGs, mostly.
Cool. Oh, and if you're watching this right now, which I know some of you are, if you want to chat with us, just chat with us on the live chat on YouTube or Twitch. We no longer have Chatango anymore. I got rid of it.
Oh, you did?
We don't ever use it.
We didn't really use it very much. It
Yeah.
was kind of, it lagged a lot. So what made you come up with the name first for your, blog?
So I came up with the Nerd Blog Collective because I like to have, I have a few different writers. There's 3 of us for now. I get guest writers to come in, and I like it when people contribute to the website. I like the idea of being a collective, being a community, just a group that looks out for each other.
Like the Borg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The board definitely took care of each other, mostly, kind of, I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about that whole scenario that you just came up
It's a
with.
collective. Come on.
Well,
I mean, that
I've
whole
given
hive
enough
mind,
time.
he's letting them have their own personalities and stuff. It's not like, yes, Nicholas, I will write what you tell me to. It's not like hive mind.
Well, if it's close enough to the board
We're
collective,
all gonna write about this now.
give it some time, and we'll squash out any dissenting opinions soon.
Russell says, okay, found the chat, LOL.
Russell!
Hi, Russell.
I miss Russell.
I don't know who Russell is, but I'm
He's
sure
really
he's fantastic.
fun. He's a cool dude. You would like him.
Yeah.
We'll have to go to Ren Fair one day and do ridiculous things. It's a lot of fun.
So you talk about RPGs, you talk about, miniature gaming?
Yeah,
as well?
definitely. I've written a little bit about X-Wing. I've gone through. We had this big weekend where we played all of the Fantasy Flight war games, and we went through and I reviewed all of those.
So which one's your favorite of all the Fantasy Flight?
Honestly, I have to say X-Wing because of how much money I've spent on it.
Right.
But I'm starting to like Imperial Assault a little bit more.
So for people who don't know about this, let's kind of explain it a little bit because that's kind of what we want to do on the show is bring people knowledge about all the different fandoms. So can you tell people a little bit about what the Fantasy Flight games are, basically?
Yeah, totally. They're basically the 3 different games that are designed to simulate the 3 different levels of combat that you see in any good Star Wars movie. So every Star Wars movie, you have ship-to-ship, you have big capital ships fighting, and then you have person-to-person. Mm-hmm. That's lightsaber fights, shooting stormtroopers and watching them.
So Imperial Assault is the ground stuff, right? So it's a lot of the stuff that people see and they think of, with Finn and Han Solo recently and shooting it out with the stormtroopers. That's Imperial Assault, right?
Perfect.
And then X-Wing is more you're that single fighter in there,
Yeah, it's definitely a dogfight. It's really fun, high-paced. You never know what the next person's going to do. It's very interesting.
So I've known we've done a lot of stuff for Armada.
Mm-hmm.
It's very big in San Antonio.
It's very big in San Antonio. Armada's more of a long game compared to X-Wing. X-Wing's a little quicker.
I'd say they honestly take about the same amount of time, it depends on who you play with mostly. Mm-hmm. But the Armada kind of cuts the game down by playing 6 rounds rather than going for total destruction,
right?
Like you would in X-Wing. So there's
How many do you have a point system in X-Wing where you can buy so many fighters and stuff like they do in Armada? Is it the same?
So all 3 of the games actually work off of point buy. So I know that Armada you work with big numbers. X-Wing you were working with slightly smaller, and then Imperial Assault it's 40 points.
Cool.
But you just add things to your units. Your units cost money, and you add up to that amount of points, and then duke it out.
And
Cool.
they don't paint. You don't paint miniatures for this kind of game. This game, they already come.
Actually, Imperial Assault. One of the things that I like is that they don't come painted. You kind of get to do what you want with them.
Oh, cool! Oh, I didn't know that.
I love mini painting, and
Me too. It's super fun.
it's amazing. It's relaxing. Honestly, it's cathartic. But Imperial Assault, you get to paint everything, so I really enjoy that.
Very nice. Now, Aiden asked, what is it available on? Well, this is a tabletop game, so it's not available,
on the table.
It's on a table.
Your local game stores.
Yeah,
your
so
local
Aiden,
game
you
store,
go to the store. I think they even have it like at Target
Tabletop
and stuff too.
game store.
And you buy it in a
Sometimes.
box, and it's little figures, and you put it out, and there are rules, and you roll dice, and you move a certain amount. Do they have rulers in the Imperial Assault?
No, Imperial Assault is a grid combat, so there's little squares.
Okay.
And then the X-Wing uses rulers as well as Armada.
I like the rulers because, like, if you want to turn, there's that ruler that you can put out, and then you just, like, put your guy. So there's, like, physical rulers and stuff that you put down on the table, and you have these little miniatures, and I don't... It's like this, but not like this. It's painted. But it's like this, and this is BattleTech, not Star Wars. But it's Star Wars machines, and then you put it out there, and then you,
Battlestar
like...
Galactica.
Yeah, that's right, Battlestar Galactica. And you put it out there, and you shoot it.
Well, Ursula asks, so you spend a lot of money on the game. What is it you get into buying?
So Fantasy Flight, they don't do, like, you know, they used to do, like, games and stuff. You would buy a collection of cards or something, and you get something random. Fantasy Flight, you pick out a unit, you buy that unit, and then it has its own cards. You know what you're getting. But what happens is, you know, your buddy beats you a couple of times, and then you think, if I had that ship with that card, you know, I think I could beat him. And then you beat him, so he buys another one, and it goes back and forth. And so, yeah.
So it's a lot of buying those units, right?
Yeah, you're just buying more ships, and they're all really cool. The X-Wing minis especially, they're beautiful, they're detailed.
They're super detailed, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, actually, the quality that they come out with.
X-Wing, I think we started seeing back, what? Because X-Wing came out before Armada.
Well, I remember seeing X-Wing first, so I think so, yeah.
We saw that at one of the gaming stores when we started running some of our play tests over there in Alien Worlds or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, they play
Yeah,
some
at
there.
Alien Worlds. The one on San Pedro.
the one in San Pedro.
But you said that Fantasy Flight had an announcement.
Yes, they do. They're doing an announcement of. They actually announced that at Gencon 50. And it's a really cool shirt. We didn't get to be there this year.
I didn't.
But
First time in a long time, and it's the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there. So I think it's got to be over 60,000 this year.
Oh, yeah, it's a phenomenal amount of people.
They sold out.
Yeah.
All the pictures and stuff, it's crazy.
So what is Fantasy Flight's new thing that they're coming out with?
So it's called Star Wars Legion. And you can...
Oh, excuse me.
I get what it looks like is you could put like Imperial and Rebel armies after each other. I know you were saying that there was another miniatures.
Imperial Assault.
Yeah,
like
Imperial Assault.
game.
So this is just going to be more ground.
Fantasy Flight usually comes out with, you know, you've got your Imperials, and then you've got your Rebels, and then they usually throw Scum in there, because people really like Boba Fett. Also, I'm guilty.
So I think if you like Star Wars as a film, as a genre, and you like tabletop gaming, this is a good combination.
Oh, yeah,
For me,
definitely.
it's not my favorite genre of gaming. I'm not really big on miniatures. I don't love the whole measuring and going and doing all that. Because there was another really, really big gaming system, and now I've forgotten it. It just left my head. Remember... They played it at ChimeraCon several years ago. Marshall brought all the figures, and it was all the dragons and stuff. HeroScape.
Oh, yeah, I have some HeroScape pieces.
Yeah.
So I totally love the figures. I love the concept of figures and stuff, but because I'm a role-playing game player, I want to, like, pick up my figure and be like, you know, and my dragon's attacking you. Like... Yeah, and so people don't want to play with me because they're like, you can only move 2 squares, and I'm like, no, it's flying.
Well, I love RPGs too, so whatever you play works. Oh yeah.
So, what are some of the recent blog entries that you've done?
Well, just today we talked about some of the stuff that we're looking forward to in the future with our website, but we can get into that later. I think the last thing that I talked about really was player responsibilities in RPGs. A lot of what it takes to respect the people around you, and the kind of building a healthy group and trying to work together and move forward in those kind of games.
Very nice.
Oh yeah.
I do have two questions here.
Go for it.
Are these games that you play at home, or are there places you can go to play?
Both.
Both.
Exactly. I know in Seguin there's a couple of game stores around there. There's actually two that just opened up a few, like maybe 6 or 7 months ago in New Braunfels.
Yep.
Yeah, I love those places.
Child's Play.
Child's Play.
Child's Play, and then there's another one too.
I haven't gone to the
Oh,
other
I didn't
one.
know there was another one.
Have you all heard of Blitzkrieg?
No.
Oh, yeah, Blitzkrieg Games and Comics is a really cool guy out there, and whenever I ask for something, he has it usually the next day. So,
Oh, nice.
nice.
oh, yeah, he's pretty cool.
And then here in San Antonio, there's Alien Worlds, there's Dragon's Lair,
The other Aliens Worlds.
the other Alien
There's a coffee place.
Worlds. Yeah, there's God, I can't remember anything today. My brain is fried. There's the one that used to look like a tavern, and it has a new owner.
Oh,
It's on
Magic
the other-
Beans.
Yeah, Magic Bean.
That's the one, yeah.
There's that other one that looks like a tavern.
Night Watch.
Night Watch.
Yeah, that's a new one relatively to San Antonio.
Yeah, so there are lots of places where you can go out, and there's usually people there gaming, and they'll teach you. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
nice too. You can find out usually on their website and stuff. So if you say, "Oh, hey, I'm interested in this game, but it costs like $90," there are usually people out there
Yeah.
that are willing to teach it. So that's a really
Yeah.
nice thing about tabletop gaming
I
too.
know-
Heroes and Fantasies, because I know Aiden's right over there in that area by Heroes and Fantasies.
I have
so.
one more, sort of a question, I guess. It's from Apex Goat, Roblox. know what that
Roblox.
is.
That's a game.
No, that's a internet game
That's I
that
think
you
so.
play on the internet.
That's an internet game.
It's a Minecraft
It's,
ripoff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think it's like fake Minecraft. Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
we all play video games, but like our root gaming that we all really enjoy, I think would be tabletop gaming.
Yeah, definitely.
For
It's
you,
it's a whole different experience that you do when you're playing tabletop games, because you're usually playing like right across the table from somebody.
Yeah.
You can actually see the reactions to certain. He says Roblox roleplay. I don't know what that means.
Like an RPG book for Roblox? I've never
I've never heard of
anything like
that. I'd be interested to see what that is.
Quick, Colleen, do research.
I'm doing it. I'm researching.
So it's a different experience. You can play a video game, but you're watching a screen. You're not necessarily seeing expressions on faces, and it's not the same connection. Because you look into somebody's eyes and you're like trying to wonder, like playing a game of poker, just like, what is he thinking? What is he gonna do?
I think it goes a little bit further than that too, though. I think like when you're in a room with somebody, actually this is kind of funny. One of the things that we talk about, like in our about page for the website, is there's 3 things about games. One of them, we talk about how gaming is for everyone, no matter what. We talk about how gaming helps bring people together. That's our second thing, and then the third one is gaming is fun. But when you're in a room with somebody, it's a different level of interaction that I value a lot. I'm kind of an outgoing person, and I enjoy being able to talk with people and and move forward in that kind of way. And everything's a little more tactile. You get to touch it and interact with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you just kind of like build this community and these friendships, and then you have like these little inside jokes about things that your characters have done that are like totally crazy or stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's just nice to have that kind of companionship. So this isn't a role playing game. This is an RPG, but it's still online. So a lot of the kids that are watching, or some of them are my students, y'all are still thinking digital role playing game, which is great. Digital role-playing games, though, came from these kind of role-playing games that we're talking about. So the role-playing game that we're talking about would be like if all of us in this room were sitting down and we would have characters on paper that we made up. So we're thinking of their like personalities, and they can be somebody, you know, funny or strange or weird or tall or fat or short or whatever you want to make up, right? They can have a, you know, an accent or an eye patch or whatever you want to go with. And so then you pretend to be that character the whole time. And so let's say Nick was the game master, right? So then Nick, what would you do as the game master?
I would set up the kind of challenges that you're probably going to face, make the town that you're going to live in or explore through, or the dungeon, or however it is. I would set up the encounters with the bad guys, or whatever kind of story it is that you're going to go through. And then I would facilitate y'all going through that situation. So I get to be all the bad guys and all the silly voices and all the shopkeepers and all that. And
those are kind of like the GMs that you really want to GM or DM your game, because the ones that do all the voices and do the silly noises and can bring in, like, you know, background music or something like that. There's tons of stuff that you can do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, we met people at Gencon last year or the year before.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. That were doing like a whole soundtrack system that you could play during your RPGs, and the people that were attending Gen Con got to go into their sound booth, and you could do different kind of sounds, and then they were going to mix you in, so you could do like screams or running or like growling or like something's after you or like slobbering or like whatever
I think
sounds.
Didn't we do it?
Yeah, we did a couple.
I think we have a couple of
and we got to be on there. So and it's really cool. And so a lot of GMs will play that. So they'll play
Russell says tabletop games always change every time you start a new game. Apex Goat asks, so did you like Magic the Gathering? Do you like Magic the Gathering? He changed it.
I have played a couple games of Magic the Gathering. I enjoy it. I think the lore is really cool to it and stuff, but I just don't. There's only so many hobbies that you can get into before you start breaking bank.
You gotta stop.
Yeah, and so Magic is something. Yeah, I have a couple of decks out there, but I'm not very good at it either. That's one thing.
The thing that I like about RPGs is that there's not a lot of investment. You pay for the
you just buy the books.
You buy the books, and then you can do it from there. It's like you can get character sheets online, and just fill them out there.
Yeah,
I don't like Magic's okay, but you know, we talked about this earlier when nobody could see us on camera, but I don't like game mechanics. I don't like heavy game mechanics. I don't like trying to count up how many points and like, do I, you know, turn my card this way and that means I've done this and I've spent this and I need to go. No, I don't want to do all that. I'm not down. That's just not my kind of game.
You have to tap your card.
Yeah, tap my card. That's right. I can say tap with Magic.
We can say it. We just can't make a game and use tap.
Tap, yeah. Because a lot of card games use that turning the card.
Really?
Yes, they coined the term tapping it. So you can write it into your...
They coined tap.
Yeah. You can write in your game rules that the player has to turn their card to indicate that they've used whatever, but you can't call it tapping. And most players know it as that because most of the card players play Magic.
Yeah.
Which I think that's totally...
It's it's a word, tap. Like,
it's totally not cool to have done that.
I know that for Magic there's like a 100 some odd page like legal book basically that goes through all of the, you know, anything that's it's like an FAQ plus. Any question that you can have, there's like this level of legality towards it that's just, it's hard to get into, honestly, for me.
I'm surprised that Magic has a huge following. There's so many people play that game, and it just
remember when you couldn't give those cards away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It died for
a while.
And
it did.
Boom! All of a sudden.
Yeah. It did.
One of my writers, Narb, actually is really into Magic. I've been trying to get him to write some articles about it.
Oh, he totally should, because people would enjoy that.
Yeah, but he's like, everybody writes about Magic. I'm not going to write about it. I was like, come on.
We actually met, oh God, I forget his name. But he's the one that did the card for something Orchid or something like that.
I don't remember.
It's a super rare card.
I'm the worst person to ask.
Yes, Black Lotus. we met him before he passed at Gencon.
At Gencon, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like a year before he passed.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. But it's weird because I wanted to kind of like move into that because we're not at Gencon right now, which we usually are. We're kind of sad about that, and we're seeing a bunch of our friends have a lot of fun over there.
Yeah.
So, and go to the places that we would go together.
Yeah, because another thing that people don't know about tabletop gamers is tabletop gamers know how to party, okay? You think that we're all just a bunch of, like, quiet, dorky nerds that, like, sit in our mom's basement and play games? Yes, we do that, okay? But we also know how to party during and after, I'm just saying. I mean, there are taverns and stuff in all of these fantasy games, like, okay, we get it. And we like to dance, and we like music, and we watch television shows like everybody else. Like, we're just like everybody else. Like, we read books and all kinds of stuff. So.
Except we're into a really cool hobby.
Yeah, but we do like really cool stuff. And our imagination is so much better than y'all's. I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
So all our friends, we hope you're having a great time. Hopefully we'll make it back there for Gen Con 51.
It won't be the same.
It's not going to be the same.
It's like 50 was
We
it.
missed it.
Some of the games they've been talking about, too, though. Oh, my goodness.
Like, we are always working, like, trying to show people our games. So we, like, one of these days we need to go to Gen Con just to go and, like, see the new games that have come out and, like, go get to experience that. And
We get to experience like 5 maybe. if
yeah,
that.
a little bit. So.
Apex Goat says, I kind of like Magic, but one thing I don't like is keeping up with the creature effects.
Yeah, I
Well,
would
there's a
agree
ton of
with
them, but
that.
there's a ton of them that can just look at the picture and they know everything that it does.
Some
JR,
people like
Honeycut.
no magic inside and outside. Yeah. What about tabletop board games? What is? You said that you were playing Ticket to Ride the other day, but what's your favorite board game?
That's such a hard question because there's so many board games that are out.
There's so
There's-
many.
There's so many that I don't know about. I played.
Yeah, but the ones that you've played so far, because that's the only way for it to be fair. Of the ones you've played so far, what are some of your favorites?
I have to go with the classics. I like the tried and true. I like Catan. I like Ticket to Ride.
Can't do Catan. I've been traumatized. I can't take it.
I've been trying to get into legacy games lately. I think is something that with Pandemic Season 2 that's coming out soon.
See, and everybody loves Pandemic, and I'm not like a super huge fan of that one either.
I've heard that the legacy game for Pandemic is way better than the actual just vanilla Pandemic game.
Really? Okay. What was the other one that Dead of Winter?
That's a fun game.
Yeah, well, I got to play kind of a portion of that one, and I kind of liked it when we were starting to play that. I usually don't play that kind of... I like more like deck builder. I like the DC deck builder. I like word games. I like like Dixit and things like that. Code names. I like those kinds of things where we just got Unspeakable Words. We just got Unspeakable Words finally off of Kickstarter. It came in. So it's like Scrabble but with Cthulhu where you're going mad. So it's kind of, I like it.
I like social deduction
She just doesn't
games.
like playing that with me.
Social deduction games are really fun. Secret Hitler, Bang, those kind of things. Those are a lot of fun.
Like trying to, yeah. Even like Love Letter or something where you're trying to figure out, all right, who's got that card? You do! No! I lose.
The things that when I look at board games, one of the things that's like a quality of a board game that I look for is the kind of interaction that it brings forward with people. You know, there's a lot of crunch to some board games, and some board games don't have barely any rules at all. But I like the games that, like, you look at the board game, when you understand the rules, you start building strategies and kind of figure out how your opponents are going to react to things, and you have to figure people out to play them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Apex Goat says Monopoly, and Russell says Monopoly has caused family fights.
Monopoly is a good gateway game. It's a good starter game. You get in, you play a little Monopoly, but then, you know, you gotta branch out a little bit and try a little something.
Well, I've branched out with it, but Monopoly is like one of my most favorite board games to play.
And it's one of the ones that I always bring to my classroom for my kids to have because they've probably played it at some point with somebody, right? They understand the rules, so, you know, when I have a 32 kids, I can't be explaining new games to everybody or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a good one for me to, I like those classic like Sorry and Monopoly and those kinds of things. I grew up, like my parents would play those, right?
Yeah.
And they played Scrabble, and we used to have this game that was kind of like Hangman, but you would have the cards and, so there are a lot of blogs and stuff that kind of bash those games, like, oh, you're not a real gamer if you play those, but those are really good kind of starter games for some people.
The most important thing is that you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And these games are designed for people to enjoy, to sit around a table and enjoy these games. And if you're not having fun, then you're not playing the right games. If you're having fun, then you're playing exactly the game that you need to be playing.
But even though you're looking through and saying necessarily, oh well, I really like Connect 4. There's other games that may not be Connect 4, but may have the same kind of strategy and fun that you would find in that, just in a different format.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing you can never underestimate, the power of a local game store, because they know all those games. It's their job to sell them, and they know. You come up and you say, I'm looking for, another Connect 4. And they'll go, okay, well, we've got, this game, this game, this game.
Mm-hmm.
They do this, they play this long, they have hands-on experience. It's it's a lot easier than, kind of just going on the internet and taking a guess.
And just like, maybe this is good or not.
And a lot of the time they have demo copies and somebody who can show you so that you can play it before you invest a bunch of money in a game that you might not actually like.
That's exactly correct.
Or you can use YouTube and go another game like Connect 4.
Yeah.
And then you can probably find something.
You could probably find somebody demoing it.
Yeah.
So since you like RPGs, Nick, have you played Super Fight?
I have played Super Fight. I had to buy the blue deck because we were arguing so much. I had to buy the locations because it's like, okay, well, this guy's going to win, but not if they're fighting here. Or what if they're fighting here? I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy the deck. They're fighting here now.
Yeah.
And that solved a lot of problems.
We just had the loot crate, so it's really supposed to be an expansion, basically, but we just play it as the core game, because if you're just playing with a few people or whatever. So we played it at a little event we had to promote the con the other day. Oh my gosh, it was so much. Well, it was so much fun for me, probably because I was winning a lot. Because I do have that RPG imagination, right? So when you have that RPG imagination, you can be like, well, they did such and such a thing, and they did it like this, and this is how I can like one of the only ones I lost was because the other girl had an Animorph, and I was super close, like, to almost winning because I had a bear, and then she was saying, like, because of hers, she had, like, Animorph mythology, and that's why, and she was, like, super close to winning, and I was like, but I used to be an Animorph, but then, because of, like, a magical spell, I had to stay in my Animorph form for too long, and that's why I'm a bear now, and she was like, that's lies! You don't stay in your Animorph form for that, you stay in that because you stayed in it for over 24 hours, and I was like, darn it, I couldn't remember the books enough, darn it. So that was the only reason I lost, because I couldn't remember the books enough, but I was like, I knew that they morphed into animals, and she was like, that was good, you were pretty close. So that's the nice thing too, like, sometimes you win, but then the other person's like, yeah, you won or you lost, but like, your idea was pretty cool too, or whatever, right? And you're like, that was so close.
I just love some of the random stuff you can get in that game. We played it last weekend on our vacation, me and my wife, and we had somebody, and they played the Pope, who had scissor hands, and then shot bees from his mouth. And I was like, this is crazy.
You're like, why is the Pope doing all of these things? He's so scary.
Russell says, a lot of people know the classes, which makes it great for shows like Game Expo to show people that there's much more out there to experience.
Yeah, and that's one thing, and you've done that for us at Game Expo too. So Nick has done this for Game Expo too. Is really great. We try really hard to get GMs who will come out and teach the games, so that if you're interested, we don't want you to feel intimidated, like, oh, these people all know how to play, like I can't play.
Yeah.
And are there going to be some players that you're going to meet that are going to be like that? Yes. They only want to play with experienced players. They're hardcore about the rule set. But you're also going to find...
And they only want to play that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know them, right? We all do. But you can also find people who want to show you and who love the game and they want to show you how to play the game.
Yeah.
So.
I think, like, I got into tabletop gaming probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago, honestly. I'm relatively new to it compared to most people. But I think one of the things that was so overwhelming for me was how open the community was. You know, they want to teach people how to play these games. They want you playing these games with them. They want to be friends with you.
Right, because you can't play most of the games by yourself.
Yeah.
It's not as fun. So
Yeah.
logically, you would want other people to come and enjoy the game and play with you, right? And
Exactly.
Adventures League seems to be really good at doing that, at least here in San Antonio.
Yeah, Adventures League is really great.
The Armada
Armada
is
is
really
really
good.
great.
The Armada group
Yeah,
is
and
fantastic.
X-Wing is really good at being able to do that.
I remember when I wanted to get into Armada, or like try it out a little bit, one of the players actually had enough ships for me to play a tournament with them. And he's like, oh yeah, just come by. He's like, this is what I have. You can build this. And it was really great. I didn't have to spend a penny, and I played in a tournament, got like 5th place or something like that. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. It was like 6 people, but whatever.
Hey, still.
But you weren't last.
But you weren't last.
Exactly.
And you were still pretty new to it, so even
Yeah,
then.
I think it was my first time playing, honestly.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's a fun game.
Yeah. So I like that I heard you say earlier you're letting the writers on your blog kind of write about what they enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
I can think of a reason why you would do that, but can you tell me why you don't have like set stories and you're not like, this week we're going to write about this or this or this? Why did you decide to go with letting them kind of write what they want?
My writers are they're I respect them. They've been my friends since before the website was out. I respect their intelligence and their creativity, and I just wanted to see them kind of do their own thing. I think whatever it is that they can do, I would just kind of get in the way, And so we talk, we have meetings every now and then where we figure out what we're going to do, what step we want to take as a website. But individually, I would rather them do something that they're enjoying, something that they want to do, rather than watching them do something that they're forced to do. Mostly because I don't pay them either.
Well, there's that. But like, if you force somebody, yeah, okay, I could write about it, right?
Yeah.
But it comes across as, I think it comes across like you don't, it's not as important to you. You don't really care. Like, it's not the same.
Are they new to doing the blog, or have they done blogs in the past, or?
Everybody on my website's new. This is the first time that they've ever done anything.
And here's the big thing. Like, when I first started Geek, I had to say, I didn't like taking it on stuff that I didn't really enjoy or like, or
yeah.
And I couldn't talk about it intelligently enough or well enough to be able to go through. But as you go through and start developing your skills, you get better, and then you start looking for stuff that you like in things, and you're able to talk to that at that point. So
I think
just they'll start getting more of a.
I watch my writers and I talk to them. Yeah, I ask them like, what do you want to write about? And you see that twinkle in their eye. They're passionate about what they're talking about. They believe in it. It's something that they want to write about. They want the world to know about this, and I think it wouldn't be right to take that away from them, to say, well, I know you want to write about this, but can you do this instead? I don't think that would be very fair to them, especially because it's something that we're doing together.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Because there's so many things that you can read out there. You don't want to read something that's like forced. Like you want to read something from somebody who actually enjoys it. And
I remember there was
a
a number of things that you will, talk about this week. So I'm like, okay. I'll try.
And you can tell that he hated talking about it. Like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
Now I hate tons of things and you wouldn't know it.
That's right.
No, I'm kidding.
Got to be a really good liar now.
That's funny.
He's like, I can't wait to keep Nick out of my house. No.
Man.
So, what are your plans for the blog? Where do you want it? Where do you see it going? What do you plan doing next?
Honestly, I want our website to be relevant and up to date. Those two things would make me so happy. So, new board games, new news, and new comments on things that are coming out, that are up and coming. I would love to see that. But on top of that as well, our writers They have all sorts of ideas. One wants to make his own fantasy setting. Another one wants to start talking to developers and figure out what they're doing and asking them important questions like that. And it's really awesome to see where that's going. But one thing I really want to see is I want to see the website giving back to the community. I want people to read our stuff and say, like, I didn't know what kind of board game I wanted to buy until I talked to you, or I didn't feel like painting my minis until I read this article and I saw this and I got into it. You know, that's the kind of stuff that I want to do for people. I just want to help them.
Yeah, and when you do something like that, you get a lot back from it.
Yeah, gaming has given so much to me. When me and my wife met, we lived in College Station. We moved back to San Antonio, and we didn't know anybody, and we didn't know anything. We're just kind of here, and you know, for being a social person, that can be lonely, you know, and that can get you in a lot of different ways. And the gaming community here kind of helped pick us up and you know, move that transition, moving away from all of our friends and all the people we knew, and we made new friends and we met new people, and that's a really valuable thing, and I kind of want to help the world see that.
Yeah, and tonguing it from there, we met a lot of our really, really good friends at gaming conventions here in San Antonio, like when it first ChimeraCon was here. And then I got into helping run that, and we just met a lot of really cool people that we keep in touch with today.
Yeah.
So you were talking about helping the community. You were telling me earlier about a project that's going on where they're trying to take the gaming and help students who might have learning disabilities. So for me, that spoke to me being a teacher. And where is it that they're doing this? I
think it's in Vancouver. It's pathofplay.com. It's in Canada. Right. Yeah, and it's really awesome because, you know, there's this thing that's called inclusion, where they're working with, you know, teaching people with social anxiety or learning disabilities or these kind of things, just kind of to interact with the world and you know, teaching the world kind of interact back with them. And I think gaming has been bringing people together since it's existed. And they're using those games and everything to teach people those kind of habits and behaviors, and it's really awesome to see.
Yeah, I've seen so much writing lately about gaming. We saw even Playboy had an article the other day about D&D kind of coming into the mainstream, and all of the celebrities that are coming out now and being like, okay, I'm a celebrity, but I play D&D.
I have that magazine.
No. No, it was somebody who saw the article online, and then they were sharing it, and I saw it. So I wasn't looking at Playboy, I was just reading the article. But
I think Tim Duncan plays D&D.
He does. He does.
Vin Diesel
plays D&D, and the guy who was the wolf in True Blood, Maggiano or whatever, he was in one of the Magic Mike movies. He plays D&D, and there's a whole bunch of people. Anyways, if you read the article,
Matt Bonner, he plays D&D as well.
Dude, really?
Yeah.
I would love to be in that D&D group. Tim Duncan, Matt Bonner. That'd be
really
cool.
That would be so cool. And they dress up sometimes too.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would die.
What was it?
Tim Duncan might be more hardcore than me.
2 Alamo City Comic Cons ago, Matt Bonner dressed up as like his own character.
Yep.
Had like a red cloak and like a black mask on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Isn't that so cool? It's so cool. Like, you used to have to, like, you know, hide yourself and be shunned if you were a gamer, and now it's, like, totally mainstream, and they're using it now. There's a psychologist who's using it to, like, help kids through bad situations as, like, a social interaction. There's this inclusion. The inmates. Oh, my God.
That
you
was
saw that,
awesome
too,
article.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah. I was on Reddit when that post came up for the guy, and he's like, let's lay it out, and he's doing every step-by-step exactly what you do so you can play D&D.
I couldn't believe them using the toilet paper and like putting it in the windowsill and then like compressing it and stuff over several days to make D6 so that they could play games. I was like, what? That's crazy. They're like having to contraband D&D because it's banned. Like, stop wizarding over there. What are you doing? Like, I'm like, it's back to the 80s where it's like, stop worshiping Satan. I'm not. I'm killing demons, I swear.
Shawshank Redemption. I'm making them die.
Making them die out of the rocks.
I just love how like gaming can really help people, you know.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more evident as like the community is getting, you know, bigger and bigger.
I think it would be really something that could help with like autism, because it gives them guidelines and kind of like
social interaction.
That they wouldn't ordinarily get, but it's structured.
And they talk about that in the Path of Play, the video on the main page of their website. You know, the reason why they started doing this is because they realized that their son was diagnosed, and you know, and they're having a lot of challenges with, you know, the kind of, you know, the people with autism, they need certain schedules, they need certain interactions, and things need to be a certain way. And so teaching him games and stuff kind of taught him how to interact with the world around him and kind of accept it easier. And you know, he can go out to restaurants. Their child can go to restaurants now and can talk to strangers and things like that you wouldn't see. You know, like when Pokemon Go came out, they were talking about that too.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, that was great too, to see so many people interacting. Like, we would just walk around and we would see people with their phones, and a couple of times we saw these guys that were like too cool to be playing Pokemon, and they were trying to play it off, and you could totally see them like, you know, shooting the Pokeball, and we're like, oh my god, you're playing Pokemon too? No, I'm looking at porn. And we're like, dude, you're playing Pokemon, we know you are. Don't be ashamed.
Then why are you at the park? Don't lie to me.
Don't tell lies. Show me that Charizard.
Why are you looking at porn at the park?
That's even worse. Get out of here.
The poor children, you shouldn't see that.
I was like, own it. Own your nerdiness. You know you're excited that you found a Pikachu with an ash hat. Don't lie.
Well, wait, they have those?
Yeah.
Oh,
you didn't know there was a Pikachu with the ash hat? Yes, that's a new thing, and so for a limited time, so you better go find one.
Oh my goodness.
Did you get the one with the Santa hat?
Yeah, I think I did.
I missed the one with the birthday hat. I didn't get that one. It's the only special Pikachu I haven't gotten, but...
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played Pokemon Go in a little while. But I remember how important it was when it came out. It was very popular.
Yeah.
There's people getting out of their houses and moving around, talking to people, going to parks, going to restaurants.
Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
I have a problem.
I don't know. It kind of started getting on when it was just the same Pokemon over and over again.
That does get old. Like, I get kind of like sad when I'm like, oh.
And then my index fingers started cramping up all the time.
There's no game mechanics to it. It's just, it's boring as all hell.
I need something mindless sometimes. I think all the time about stuff. I just need, this is a ball and I catch a pretty thing.
Well, it was cool. When it was getting really popular, me and my wife were on our honeymoon. And so we would go to a town. We just kind of got in our car and drove in a direction. And if we saw something cool, it was also on Pokemon Go. So we could play Pokemon Go and then kind of like use that to explore the town. It was really cool.
Nice.
That's nice. That's good. I like that.
It was awesome.
Well, like we did it when we were at Landa Park.
Landa Park is a good place to do it at. In Fredericksburg is a good place. They have a ton of Pokestops.
Cool.
Yeah. We had a good time at Gencon last year because they have different Pokemon spawn more up in Indianapolis than they do, you know, here. So we were like,
and ones that we still can't get here.
Yeah, you got to get around to get some of the Pokemon.
Yeah, because it was like a Hypno and some other stuff, and like.
Well, there's like 1 or 2 now that you can only get in Europe, and then some that you can only get in Asia.
Yeah, like Mr. Mime, you can only get like in Australia or something like that, and I'm like, okay.
We got Taurus. That was, I think, was the one that you could only get in America.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Taurus. Oh, I don't know.
Really?
Really?
He's not my favorite.
And then I'm not understanding the whole raid battle things, and like, so everybody goes in battles and you win the raid battle, but then only some of you have the chance to get the legendary, and I'm like, okay.
There was another game that a lot of people played before Pokemon Go. It was based off of
Ingress.
Yes.
Yes, we used to play Ingress too. And we'd be driving around. Oh, get it! Change the portal.
It's the same company.
It's the same company. Yeah. It's an overlay.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's a reskin.
Yeah.
Pokemon is a reskin.
It is.
It's not really an original game.
Nope.
Well, it's Pokemon, so that's.
But it has the Pokemon,
got something.
So that's the thing. They're so cute.
And we like Ingress because of our RPG.
Yeah.
It's kind of like spy base.
Yeah. So we were
so
stoked when Ingress came out. We're like, yeah, we're spies. All right. I've always wanted to be a secret spy.
That's
Maybe
funny.
I am. My imagination runs wild a little too much sometimes.
But I think Ingress, as like a faction, it was more of a thing.
Well, it
It's
started
not so
to make
much
you
as,
like a little like
because
paranoid.
it's not really as much as unless you do a lot of like gym battles, it's not really this faction against this faction. With Ingress, it was more because there was just two factions.
It was just the two factions, and so you were like really trying to get.
You were
your
either
faction
one
on.
side or the other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, there's a couple times that you'd like be walking by and you'd be on your phone and you'd be like, look over the other guy, like Valor. I'm like, all right, yeah. Like, knowing glance, you know.
Nice. Well,
Pokemon the card Pokemon the card game, I'm guessing, consider a tabletop game. Yes,
yes,
it is.
Yes, it
tabletop.
is.
It is. Yes.
That's
And that
alive
was
and
a
well.
huge one for a while too, even before Magic and stuff. The Pokemon game was a huge thing.
They played
Which the
Blitzkrieg
funny
all the
thing
Yu-Gi-Oh!
time.
too.
about Nintendo was actually a card game manufacturer
Yeah, that's right. Nintendo was a card game manufacturer
before it was
they were
actually a video game manufacturer.
Yeah.
I found that out on a Snapple bottle 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
I did not
Like-
know that till now.
Thank you, Snapple. Knowing is half the battle.
Pokemon, they play that all the time. It's actually really popular in New Braunfels right now.
Is it?
Yeah, they play Pokemon cards. They play Pokemon all the time. They have, like,
Well, I know there's a
tournaments
bunch of new packs and stuff. Like, I used to collect the cards just because I like the little cute Pokemon. I've never actually played the game, but it's similar to the kind of Magic style of gaming.
Yeah.
So,
I think not
Yu-Gi-Oh!
as
And
not
there's a
as
Naruto
complex.
that's like that too.
It's getting there.
it's getting
Yeah.
there now.
Yeah, there's a whole heap of new rules and combining cards. And,
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems that I always had with those games when I was a kid was I was ADD, as back when people weren't really diagnosing it as much, and so no one really knew what was going on with me. Like when I'd fill out a test and then guess on the last 5 questions, and so like I'd have all these cards and I'd just have to read them, and I'd be like, that's
Too
not
much
happening.
reading.
Yep.
I can make a house out of these. Look, now the Pokemon live in there.
How do you deal with that as a tabletop gamer now?
Honestly, well, I've dealt with it for a while. I haven't taken my medicine since I was like in 7th or 8th grade, so I've had a lot of self-discipline with that. But as far as board games and stuff go, there's always something to pay attention to when a game is going by. There's always something that's like moving, even if people are sitting there thinking about their turns. Then you get to think about what are they thinking about. Like, okay, where's their hand going? They're moving around pieces, and boards are always changing, things like that. So there's always something to pay attention to and figure out.
Like, how do you do that with an RPG?
With an RPG, as a GM,
You're
as
busy
a
the
GM.
whole time. So
Yeah, well, there's always I'm always flipping through a book while I'm playing the game, or interacting with players. Everything that a player does kind of has consequence for a GM, because they have to think about how the setting reacts to them. So I like to think of players as like the living element of a game.
So do you prefer to GM or do you prefer to play?
I think sometimes I get player envy. I like to play a lot, but I also love GMing. I'm going to say I like GMing more.
I feel bad for good GMs though, because they do get stuck. Like once you find a good GM, you're like, come on, baby, run it again. And they're like,
Yep.
no, I want to play.
I stopped GMing for like 5 years. And I get to play games, but what was it, like 2 years ago when I started
When you started
at
again, yeah, I
Texicon.
thought you were never going to start. I thought we are never going to sell any of our games because he's not going to GM anymore. It's like, because you know me, I can't GM.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't learn rules.
Well, I would do
I
my
don't-
card games. I didn't want to do RP.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
were
want to
just burnt out.
GM Yeah, I was burnt out on GMing RPGs.
And bless your heart, you used to have to GM the kids when they were little and
Yeah.
all of their little friends and stuff. And so it's a very different dynamic when we're trying to GM like 10-year-olds, you know, and you're like...
That's kind of one of the things that I talk about with like with player responsibilities is, you know, a lot of times GMs feel that way because the game that they're playing is kind of for their players, right? But it's easy there's a few really easy things that players can do to make the game for the GM too. You know, like interacting with the environment, picking up details, you know, being interactive in interesting ways. You know, makes me feel like as an NPC, you know, I get to be all these different characters, and it feels kind of, you know, it's not like, oh, I'm just one player. Now I'm like 100 players.
Do you like the players that come up with something like off the cuff that you wouldn't normally? Because some GMs hate that, right? They want it to be very much down their little script.
No, I absolutely love it.
You like that?
I love that part.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of a really good GM that doesn't necessarily just stick to what they have, that they can roll with it, because sometimes I've gotten greater games just because the players come up with something I had no idea they would even think about doing in the game, and it comes out being such a better game that way. Now I'm like, yeah, that was good. I'm going to use that.
One of my favorite things with that is, like, you know, you come up with like inside jokes, and there's like all these different directions that you'd never consider. But I love, like, I was playing this one time, and there was a doorman, and he had a pen and paper, and he was writing stuff down. And one of my players decided that it was a pink fluffy pen, you know, and then he was all of a sudden, you know, my tough door guy has this like pink fluffy pen, and then he's got like this soft side, and the players start talking to him, and then it's crazy. And so it's like this really fun inside joke that we all have now, and it's completely made up by just a player going, you know what, this is what's different.
Well, it was like we were playing this one game one time, and it was kind of like an espionage-esque type of thing, and we were in a taco truck, like, casing out the place or whatever, and that was what we were pretending to be. And so he was like, but are we like an actual taco truck so that like people believe us, right? Are there actual tacos in here? And so the GM was like, you know what? Yes, we're going to go with that. There's actual tacos. Like, y'all have learned the art of making tacos, and there's like tacos in here so that people come up. And he's like, okay, so we're going to hide like this stuff inside these tacos and go into this building. And it totally worked out. And the GM was like, blew my mind. Like, he was like, I never knew that you were going to even come up with that. And he's like, once you did it, he was like, oh my God, that's genius. Yes, hide it in the tacos.
Because I had like some kind of like a hypodermic needle.
Yeah, that you had
that I stuck in the taco, and then here's your taco.
Well, one of the things, like, you know, you look at like video games and movies, and these are multi-million-dollar industries with writers and teams and all this stuff, and you think, what makes that different from you and 5 friends hanging out in your garage, you know? And it's that when you play an RPG game, there are no walls. There's nowhere that you can't go. There's nothing that you can't do. Whatever you can imagine becomes a possibility, and it's the, you know, the living element of that game makes it so that you can go wherever you want and make the situation how you want it, you know, and it's awesome.
I love it.
Cool. You have a comment here. Hi, Mrs. Guzman. From
Hi.
Kevin Canales.
Who?
Kevin Canales.
Oh, hi, Kevin. Are you ready for 8th grade? Be good for the teachers at NEF. So speaking of TV and movies and stuff, we were talking about something, and I know we've got to wrap up here really soon, but one thing really quick that's starting tonight that we were all kind of talking about.
Yes. You might have caught it earlier if you were watching it before, and you're going to be the only ones that have heard that before, because we cut that part off.
Yeah, when we go to YouTube, we're going to cut that off. But if you were with us live, you got to hear all of our shenanigans.
So, Defenders... Marvel Defenders, which is Iron Fist, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones, comes out today.
Not the Punisher, though?
The Punisher.
Not the Punisher.
Oh man.
No?
Not the Punisher.
Oh, okay.
It's just those 4.
I thought the Punisher was in it too. I thought that's why they introduced him in season 2 of Daredevil.
No,
they were gonna
he's going to have his own.
He's going to have his own.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I thought he was good. I thought
Kevin says no.
No, he's not ready for 8th grade. He wants to stay home and sleep. Me too, Kevin. But,
Yeah,
life
me
marches
too.
on. I start college tomorrow, so...
Are you going to NEF next year?
Oh,
Kevin asked.
Wow. No, I'm not. Actually, I got a new job at another school, but you guys can email me. The same email address through Northside. It's still a Northside school. So y'all email me and let me know how y'all are doing and stuff, and I'll still see football games and everything. So, but I'm over at Bernal Middle School now. But I got a job being the head of the whole GT department over there. So I moved up in my career. Yay! I have a grown-up job.
That makes
So back
But I'll miss now.
to Defenders.
But back to Defenders.
Yes. So I really... The only ones that I haven't gotten through are Luke Cage.
Yeah, we finally made it through Iron Fist. You liked Iron Fist.
I liked Iron Fist.
Iron
a
Fist
lot.
was cool.
Yeah.
The end I thought was pretty decent. Yeah, I at the beginning I was like, oh, please make it stop. Be done with it.
What?
But at the end I was like, oh yeah, it's okay. I think I just liked it because that character's name was Colleen. I was like, oh, that's it. And she kind of kicked butt pretty good too. So.
Yeah, she's pretty
And she
hardcore.
was like kind of like dark and twisty and like kind of a, you were like, what? She's one of the bad guys. Haha, yes.
Oh, spoilers. Hashtag spoilers.
Hey, look, if you haven't watched it by this point, too bad for you. It's not like I'm telling you what's happening on Game of Thrones on Sunday. Yeah. I didn't like Luke Cage. I thought it was kind of boring. Jessica Jones.
We only got into like 2 of them.
Yeah, you gotta keep going with
You
Luke
gotta
Cage.
keep going with that
He
one
like
right here.
throws people. He threw a dude through a car one time. It was awesome.
Through a car? Oh, no, I have to watch.
Maybe into a car. I don't know. There's some of the car and explosions. And Luke Cage, just cool.
Explosions and Luke Cage, and he's really strong, so that's a thing. I don't know. Daredevil was just so great. There was something really special about like just the chemistry between the actors and the writing and the cinematography for me is really good. And the way it makes you feel, you're very like, and you're
That
like, oh
first
god,
fight
he's
scene?
getting his,
Yes.
he is just getting his teeth knocked out practically, like,
Just like, and you could just see him
yes.
stumble.
Yeah, when he like breaks into that hallway and he's beating
Yes.
up all those mobsters. Yeah, that was intense.
And
That
then it
was
just
intense.
made it feel so real.
Yeah, yeah.
To where you just don't see somebody just like, oh yeah, I'm a superhero, and boom, 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 boom.
Well, that was why you
Yeller.
had a hard time watching Atomic Blonde because it's very
Oh,
like this.
Yeah.
We saw that at the theater
I had a
recently.
hard time watching Atomic
That's on
Bomb.
my list. So
It was hard for him to watch a lady get the stuffing beat out of her. I mean, she gives as good as she gets, but dude, she gets, and they show
Yeah.
her getting the stuffing beat out of her. Bad,
Yeah, you're like
bad. It's
wincing
super
the entire
cringy.
time.
Like, yeah, it's super cringy because they're like, like they're making a lot of loud noises, and she's like, and you're like, oh man, I don't know how much more she can take of that. Oh no, here she comes again. Okay, so, but it's pretty good.
oh, right in the face.
Yeah. I thought I would never see a cringier movie than that, and then I did, and then I'm not going to talk about it.
No, because it made me cry for like 3 hours. That movie was terrible.
All right, we're not gonna watch that tonight then.
No,
Cool.
not Atomic Blonde, but
Hey,
there was
I-
another movie.
Oh, okay, never
We
mind.
went and saw Detroit, and there was just too much with everything that's going on in the country. And I was born in 1973, so this was before me, so I didn't realize what all had happened, and it was tough to watch. So
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
if you're sensitive, Detroit is probably not one you want to watch at the theater because you're probably going to cry a lot and very loudly, and so you probably want to watch it like at home and kind of be able to digest it. So
Wait for it to come out in DVD.
yeah, Atomic Blonde,
Blu-ray.
totally watch it in the theater because yes, it's very cringy and she gets the stuffing kicked out of her, but
Back on the list.
she's B.A. Baracus. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I
lie.
mean, it's a good movie. It's a really
good movie. So
It's
yeah,
just
y'all should go see
for
that
me, it was just hard to watch.
one. Yeah.
Just because you're like, because
Like,
you
that's
don't
a lady,
want
don't hit her.
to
Oh
see
god, I think her teeth fell
a
out.
woman get hit like that, and you're like, oh.
And I'm a girl, so I'm on the other side, like, yeah, take it, give it back, get him in his face. Yes.
Oh, Russell says 1973.
Very
He says
funny.
kidding.
I quit.
No, you don't.
Let's go.
Let's go. We're leaving. I'm pretty
They
certain I
have a
just
dub
dropped.
opening now.
So cool. The nerd blog.
mblogcollective.com.
How do you get there? mblogcollective.com.
Yeah, we also have a Facebook and a Twitter. So
check them out. Nick, thanks for coming by.
Yeah,
hope you see a Game Expo.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And get your games up, people. Get them up there. I'm saying that I haven't even gotten any of my games up there either. I need to do that soon. But I'll be GMing this year.
Oh hey, me
Game
too.
Expo.
Who knows?
Maybe you'll play a game with me.
Yeah, I would look forward to that.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool because...
Hey, they're going to play Big Eyes, Small Mouth again, too.
Oh, nice.
Mouse.
Maybe I get to play this.
It's an anime role-playing game of epic ridiculousness. Oh my god, it's so much fun.
Well,
you will love it.
They come out the second edition of Mouse Guard. Yeah, I want to read that.
I've heard that one's good too. Okay, we're talking too much. Okay,
yes.
say goodbye.
Oops, my bad.
So we talked about Defenders. We talked about your blog.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about what else?
Gaming.
Talked about?
Lots of gaming.
Lots of gaming. We talked about Gencon 50 that we're not at right now, and we missed y'all, and we're going to see y'all there next year in full force. Or maybe we'll just go as attendees.
Maybe.
Who knows?
And
that'd be great. You'd like that.
I probably would like it
you
to just
probably
go.
wouldn't. You'd go.
What am I going to do?
Yeah,
I was like, why am I not interviewing somebody right now?
I've got these business cards. Colleen's going, no!
Play a game! For crying out loud.
Yeah, because I would either go there to run games or interview people.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. We had a really great time. I love talking about tabletop games. I love tabletop games. You should too. You should definitely check them out. Of course, I love video games, but tabletop has a special place in my heart. Especially Monopoly, even though people are going to give me crap for that. I like Monopoly because I win without cheating. I just play really well.
No, I have to cheat.
It's not cheating if you win. Just because I win doesn't mean I cheat.
No, I just steal mine.
I'm just ruthless when I play.
You just cheat. We have
don't
mentioned
cheat.
before that Vince knows magic, right? And he can lift cards, and he can do all kinds of card magic. Just saying.
I can't do that anymore. I have not been practicing that.
Okay, tell the viewers goodbye.
But thanks for checking us out again. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen. Thanks to Stuart. There's Nick.
Geek out, I say.
Drop the mic.